Hi guys, it's Omer from MMOs.com, and I'm doing another quick weekly news recap of all major MMO news and announcements for the week ending August 15th, 2016. This is episode number 56 of the recap, and the first bit of news this week is from Twin Saga. And the news is that Founders Beta has begun for anyone that purchased the Founders Pack. The game also decided to keep its Japanese voice actors instead of dubbing them into English, which I think is a great idea, as the game has gorgeous anime-inspired graphics, so the Japanese dubs actually make a lot of sense. Unfortunately, still no word on when the game is set to go into open beta. We just know the Founders Beta started. I'd have to guess probably within a month or two at the latest. There will be a wipe at the end of Founders Beta as well as Closed Beta, so there won't be any advantages for that. The folks over at Area said they'll be taking feedback from players and adjusting the game as necessary. It's also worth mentioning that there's already 2 private servers out for Twin Saga, and this sort of shows you the problem with a big delay between Eastern and Western releases. As the game has been available in Taiwan since June of 2015 as Astral Realm, and in that time they learned how to make private servers before the game even went to closed beta in the West, which is a bit ridiculous, but luckily the open beta is probably not too far away. Up next, a bit of news from Riders of Icarus regarding its new PP system called Mana Stone Battles, as well as its fight against bot spammers. Mana Stone Battles is set to launch later this month and will be available to guild alliances, which are guild with rank 3 or higher, or individuals that are rank 28 or higher. And it'll take place in the Exeron Battlegrounds. The Mana Stone Battles are scheduled events, and they'll be occurring twice per week, and there'll be a server-wide announcement before they start. It's kind of like a Capture the Flag style game because a Mana Stone spawns at a random place in the Battlelands, and guild alliances and militias fight for control over the right to loot that Mana Stone. Prior to this update, there's been no PvP in Rise of Icarus, so it's a nice change. There's still a lot to change because the Korean version of the game is up to like max level 60, and we're still only at like 35, so there's still a lot of work to do. In related Icarus news, in a producer letter, the developers have said they're trying to fight gold spammers and botters. They've already banned over 5,000 people for botting and gold spamming, but it's pretty ridiculous that no one's been able to figure out how to stop gold spammers. Whether it's WoW, whether it's Final Fantasy XIV, every game has issues with gold spammers and nobody can fix it. Hopefully someone figures it out. Next up, the controversial Black Desert Online patch is officially live. The controversy was surrounding the ability for players to sell Pearl Cash App items in-game through the marketplace to earn silver. And Kakao Games said in order to prevent abuse, players can list a maximum of 5 Cash App items at once per week. So I guess that kinda limits how much you can sell and earn, like silver-wise, but doesn't really address the pay-to-win accusations against the game. Along with the Cash App marketplace changes, the game has also added Imperial Cooking, Imperial Alchemy, Imperial Horse Trading, and Imperial Fish Trading to the game. Tier 8 horses have also been added. And I don't want to discuss the controversy that much because we talked about it in quite some depth in the last podcast, so if you're curious about it, check out the podcast. Moving right along, Rune Waker's Guardians of Ember is launching on Steam in September. It's a game being published by Incel Games and being developed by Rune Waker. If the name sounds familiar, it's because they're the same company behind Dragon's Prophet and Runes of Magic. For those unaware of the game, Guardians of Ember is an ARPG, and it'll be a Steam exclusive. I'll have to see them making a buy-to-play game because Rune Waker's previous titles both free to play. The game promises classic hack-and-slash experience, as well as enormous hordes of enemies to cut through. The game's key features include a dual class system, which kind of differentiates itself from other ARPGs, as well as the housing system. Also included in the game is a randomized item system, which I guess kind of goes along with the turf of being an ARPG nowadays. Pretty much every ARPG has that randomized item system that Diablo popularized. So if you're interested in trying a new ARPG, maybe Guardians of Ember might be worth a try. It'll be tough to compete with Path of Exile, which is free and awesome, but we'll see. And next up, in a bit of a twist, Ark Survival the Fittest abandons the free-to-play model and gets folded back into Ark Survival Evolved. So if you want to play Ark Survival the Fittest, you have to buy Ark Survival Evolved. Though anyone that downloaded Ark Survival the Fittest, which was their Battle Royale game mode, can still play it for free. And the reasoning behind abandoning the free-to-play model was that the developer basically said, we don't know how to monetize free-to-play, so we just wanted to fold it back into the buy-to-play Ark Survival Evolved. Though again, pretty much anyone that downloaded it can still play it for free, so for most of us, it's not a big deal, because it was downloaded quite a few times. So if you didn't download the game, you have to buy Ark if you still want to play it, but I imagine if you wanted to play it, you already would have downloaded it for free back when it was available. Moving right along, Demon Hunters are now available in World of Warcraft as part of last week's patch. Anyone that pre-ordered the expansion will get access to Demon Hunters as well as the Broken Shore Demon Invasion content. Keep in mind, the official expansion Legion is set to launch on August 30th, but a bunch of pre-patch stuff already launched, and you can already start playing the Demon Hunter. Alongside the Demon Hunter, all current level 98 plus characters will receive a quest to go to the Broken Shore, which is a brand new scenario for players to experience. And again, the expansion itself is launching on August 30th, and I suspect a lot of people will go back to WoW to check it out. A lot of my friends already are, and I know so many others probably will. Next up, some unfortunate news for Peria Chronicles. It looks like the game won't be releasing anytime soon. The game has been missing from Nexon's Q2 2016 investor presentation, which outlined their future PC games that they're working on, and Peria Chronicles is nowhere to be found. It was not found last quarter either, so I think it's safe to say now that the game is probably dead in water. Next up is going to be the publisher of the game, but the developer itself, ThinkSoft, is actually working on a new mobile game now called Project Nacho, which is a tentative title. And actually, it's really unfortunate to see that Peria Chronicles was abandoned. I mean, look at this game's trailer. It looks absolutely gorgeous. The art style is unique. It's got like charming graphics, and that alone should help differentiate it, but it looks like it just wasn't enough, and they decided to axe it. And when things like this happen, I just kind of wish the developer just releases their source code, because if they're not going to do anything with the game, let somebody make a private server out of it. Let somebody like code develop it like after the fact, but that never seems to happen. So rest in peace, Peria Chronicles. Up next, a small update for Tera. The game introduces solo dungeons and expands flying zones. The new solo dungeon is the Castle Arania, and the new flying zone is called the Southern Shara. Tera is definitely starting to show its age, but the developer's been pushing out content for the game pretty regularly for quite a while now. Plus, the game is still doing pretty decent on Steam, averaging about 2k players online at any given time. It bounces between 1.5 and 2.5k. Move right along, Mobile Suit Gundam Online is no longer exclusive to Japan, but has actually just launched its open beta in Taiwan. Unfortunately though, the game is still not going to be in English. The Japanese version was IP blocked, but the Taiwanese version appears to be open to everyone. But even though it's open to everyone, it's not going to be in English, so just signing up and downloading the game could be a bit of a hassle. It features pretty chaotic 52 versus 52 battles, and looks kind of cool. Maybe if it does well in Taiwan, it might get licensed sometime in the West. Gameplay looks pretty chaotic and fun, and thanks to Steparu for this gameplay footage we're seeing in the background right now. Steparu always releases awesome gameplay videos, so check him out. Next up, some pretty big news from NCSoft regarding Lineage Eternal. We learned about Lost Ark last week, but now Lineage Eternal is set to begin its closed beta sometime in November, with probably a global release following shortly afterwards. Keep in mind, NCSoft did say back in 2014 that the game would see a simultaneous worldwide global release, so they're aiming for a release at the same time. So it'll be coming out probably pretty quickly now. The game was first announced back in G-Star in 2011, so it's been in development for quite some time, and the game, Lineage Eternal, has quite a bit of hype behind it, so we'll see how it fares though. It'll be available on both mobile as well as PC at the same time, as well as featuring an open world with procedural dungeons. So yeah, the news is that a closed beta may happen in November, but we won't know for sure until we see it. But keep in mind, the closed beta will probably only be in South Korea. Next up, the story of major franchises going mobile continues with Lineage 2 Revolution. The mobile Lineage 2 game is set to go into closed beta testing sometime in September in South Korea, and then releasing later in October. But that's all in South Korea. An international version of the game is set to launch in 2017. Lineage 2 Evolution seems to be more of an actual MMORPG on mobile rather than just like a level-based game, like a level progression-based game, because it actually touts up to 1,600 players battling it out at once, which sounds really cool, but also extremely chaotic, and I'm curious to see how that's going to work. And it looks like Lineage 2 Revolution is joining Lineage 2 Blood Oath and Lineage 2 Dawn of Aiden. So these are 3 Lineage 2 mobile games coming out. So they're really going all in on mobile, and lots of Lineage 2 games, which is surprising. The next and last bit of news this week is actually a pretty big one from Bluehole Studios, the developers behind Tera. They've joined forces with a company called Player Unknown, creator of Battle Royale mod Armor 3 and H1Z1, to create an entirely new game called Battlegrounds. So Bluehole has worked with a pretty established group of people to make an entirely new Battle Royale style game. And given the success of Battle Royale games on Steam, it's not surprising that we'll be seeing more of these games in the near future. The game is built on Unreal Engine 4, and there's not too much known about the game right now. You can just see some work behind the game, some developer blog, but there's really not much known right now. The only thing we know is that the game will be pitting 64 players against each other on an island, where only one player survives, so it's 64 players on a single map, which is pretty good, but not as ambitious as some other titles. But too bad we won't see any actual gameplay here, just some people talking in the background, which you guys can't hear because I muted it anyway. Anyway guys, that's it for MMO News this week. I'll see you guys tomorrow for the podcast. Later guys.